Sorry about
Hey,
that.
Sean.
Hi there, Casper. All right, I just want to jump into this very quickly and just tell you that I'm going to gush a little bit because this was pretty incredible what you did here. Uh,
Oh, thank you.
we're talking about the Yule log. This just aired as we're talking. It aired last night, and you've pulled off quite a coup here with one of the best, arguably one of the best horror movies of the year, in my opinion. Talk about this from your perspective, coming up with this brilliantly insane idea.
Well, thank you so much. I'm very insecure, so to hear you say that it does my heart good. I'm very glad you like it. The idea came about holiday season last year, watching a Yule log, and for some reason I just visualized blurry legs walking in front of the fireplace and hearing a snatch of dialogue. And I thought, well, that's interesting. You know, it'd be a funny way to start with a Yule log, and then it just becomes a story. And then it just kind of, and then it just kind of grew from there, and I pitched it to Adult Swim.
And Adult Swim has a reputation here because they've done the Yule log in the past where it's literally just a Yule log. And so this kind of plays perfectly into their do. On top of that, they do these absurd things where in the past they've shown the movie The Room. They've this is where Too Many Cooks came from. So this is this certainly fits their brand.
Yes. And I did Too Many Cooks too. So it was fun to try to extrapolate that feeling for with a feature, and Adult Swim is just the perfect place to do it.
You've got so many things happening here. You've got multiple layers of history being told. You've got multiple layers of horror and science fiction going on. I mean, was it just a challenge for you to just come up with the most absurd ideas you could think of and just take it there?
Yes, but it was very fun too, of just brainstorming, and then instead of throwing out ideas, just using as many of them as possible.
I especially love the early portions right after. So we've hopefully some people have seen this. I won't spoil anything, but you've got this couple. They've arrived at this cabin immediately after something horrific has happened. They don't know what's happened. There's this brilliant thing where you're just using a reflection in a bucket, this wine bucket, and it's doing so much in terms of a scary horror atmosphere.
Yes, I'm so glad you like that, and it worked. And it was, a lot of it was, I wanted to take advantage of the idea of this camera not moving as long as I could. And then what can I do with that? Well, I can have a reflection. And at first I was thinking of a wine glass, but then Rodney Asher, who is a friend and did Room 237, read it and said, you should make that a ice bucket or champagne bucket. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's much more reflective. My God, you saved me. The wine glass would not have worked as well. Yeah. So yes, thank you for that. It was just a matter of like, what can I layer on next?
That again, I love that this seems like you've set yourself a series of challenges and how to overcome them, essentially.
Yes. Paint myself in a series of corners and then see how I can get out of it. Yes.
Among the challenges you created for yourself was a killer log. Because you're taking this Yule log concept and you're taking it to its absolute most extreme.
Yes. I guess if you're gonna do an idea, I guess I'll try to carry it as far as I can carry it. I'm glad you like it.
It's brilliantly absurd. And again, that's the whole thing. Just, did you set out to make this both like, you've created some horror here with some very big horror visuals, but you've also, some of it is so absurd that it's very, very funny.
Yes. I think that just happens when I write it, and hopefully that flavor combination works. But some things I don't even necessarily mean to be funny, but I'm so weird as a person that it becomes funny. For example, there's a scene where a guy is tied up and is sort of being interrogated, tortured. And the things he says to try to persuade her to let him go are not far from what I think I would try in that situation, as dumb as they sound.
That was again a brilliantly absurd touch. You somehow we're into talking about jobs and service industry and making money. It's a whole thing. But again, I adore that level of absurdity, and it's so fitting with the Adult Swim brand, and of course with Too Many Cooks, where you just again taking something that seems very normal at first and just building and building the intensity of the absurd levels of things that can happen.
Yes, you got it. Yeah, and then try to sustain that for 90 minutes, which is new to me, and was a fun challenge.
I think you've fully achieved this. Let's talk about your cast and choosing the people that you did. Oftentimes in stuff like this, people would go looking for faces that you recognize, but here you've taken a group of people who may not be very recognizable, but that actually fits perfectly with what you're doing. Because if we saw a famous face, that might break the spell a little bit.
Yes. Yes. And I'm a big fan of the acting pool here in Atlanta and Georgia. And there was some friends in there, some people I worked with before, and then some new faces that were just blew my mind. They were so great. Like Andrea Lang, I'd never worked with, and she's just amazing. But like Charles Green, who plays the man in the fire, had a very different role I had a show, Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell. And he plays a very sort of meek, subservient cult member in that. And when I saw his audition for this, I'm like, oh my God, he's got so much range.
That sequence, the first time we see somebody crawl into the fireplace and go into this other world of fire where he's waiting for them, that is a brilliant bit of horror. Like that itself could be developed into a full horror idea, especially the way it pays off. I loved that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I loved it too. Thank you. It makes me happy.
That's very good. And again, just another brilliantly absurd idea. Just this sideways elevator, fireplaces, removing someone from history. Like, wow. I apologize. I'm not even asking questions. I'm just praising you at this point.
I love it. Keep it coming. Keep it coming, Sean. I'm a very insecure
part of creating this. What's that? What was your favorite part of creating this? Is my final question here.
Oh, there are so many elements. I think there's so many. I think working with people and making new friends, but it's also here's really what it is writing something and it's so off or weird or dumb, you're almost scared to show it to anyone. And then to think that you're scared to show it to anyone as a script. And then somehow it becomes a thing and people have built a set and their costumes and it's become a reality and you see it and it's amazing. That's such incredible. A thrilling feeling.
That's incredible. Now that, you've taken a big risk also in just premiering this out of nowhere, like no pre-promotion, no telling anybody about it. So now how will people be able to see it now that it's been shown on Adult Swim?
Oh, it will appear on HBO Max the next day, and it'll be streaming there. Hopefully you have HBO Max. I sure love it. It's one of my favorite streaming services.
I'm happy to send people there to find this because I really did enjoy this a great deal. I think it's honestly one of my favorite horror films of the year.
Thank you so much.
It's just that much fun. And Casper Kelly, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Have a good one, sir.
Yeah.